Hi, another day, same clothes, same boring backdrop because my camera is charging. This is what you get when I bulk record tons of videos in a day. So one thing that I've kind of been discussing with myself, that sounds really weird, thinking about makes more sense. One thing I've been thinking about for a long time, I've had this on my list of like blog post ideas for years. I think I wrote a draft in WordPress about it like 2 years ago and I've still never done anything with it. And that's the argument of whether professional critics, so critics of like theatre, film, TV, books, anything where they're like paid to be a professional critic or something, whether they're kind of becoming less worth listening to than online kind of influencers. I hate that word, but bloggers, YouTubers, anyone who has a platform online where they can share their opinions. I've been kind of interested to know whether people find them now more interesting or more worth listening to their opinions, more credible maybe, than people who are like paid critics for like, you know, in traditional journalism, so like newspapers and magazines and things. And I thought I'd have a quick chat about that today and my thoughts on it, because as a blogger I've put a lot of opinions out there in the past. I've got like loads of book reviews and things where I've shared all my opinions. It was kind of an interesting thought where I was like, who do I listen to more? And who do other people listen to more? So I first started thinking about this a couple of years ago when I realised that critic reviews were really getting on my nerves. Specifically went to see Passengers in the cinema, and it was the film that starred Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, and Chris Pratt is like woken up on a ship that is heading towards a planet. Everyone's kind of like in these pods where they're almost like cryogenically frozen, and they're heading to a new planet to start a new life, and Chris Pratt is woken up early and he is like a complete tit and decides to go and wake up Jennifer Lawrence. That is my brief description of that film. A lot of people said it was bad. I went to see it in the cinema, and just for a bit of harmless escapism, I really enjoyed it. I think it kind of helped that I was fully in the kind of atmosphere, because I was the only person in my entire cinema screen. I went to see it when it was down to like one showing a day, and I was the only person in my cinema screen at that time. And considering half the film is just Chris Pratt walking around this spaceship completely alone, there's even a scene where he is sitting there watching a film in a cinema completely alone, and I was like, oh my god, never have I related to a character more at this precise moment. But going off on a tangent, I really enjoyed it. I understand why people didn't like it so much, but it was mostly down to the characters' decisions that people were mad at, which to me, that isn't a reason for me to not like a film because a character makes bad decisions. That's still just down to the character. Like, I've read books where characters make really bad decisions, but that's part of who they are, that's part of the character, and that's what makes the book interesting, is bad decisions. If characters only ever made perfect decisions and everything was amazing, then it would be really boring. So critic reviews of that were like massively negative, like overly negative. People just kind of like tearing it to shreds. So when I went to see the film, I was like shocked that I was kind of like, I really enjoyed that. It was just a bit of harmless sci-fi. I just enjoyed it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, however, critics were raving about La La Land. Was it 2 years ago maybe? I can't remember when it came out. They were saying that it's like a new classic of our generation, like it's people were putting it on the same level as like Singing in the Rain and like all of the really classic like film musicals. They were putting it on the same pedestal as those. As someone who kind of likes theatre and musicals anyway, I went to see it and really didn't like it. Like, I thought it was really bad. The performances in it were just shocking, and I just found the story to be a bit rubbish. Like, it's just an entire film of Emma Stone complaining that she hasn't made it big as an actress yet when she's been trying for like a handful of years. It's kind of like a boohoo, sob, cry, look at me story. I didn't like it very much, if you can't tell. So they're kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's a film that I enjoyed that everyone else hated, and then there's a film that everyone else said is like a new classic and I hated. But the thing is, when I started seeking out other people's thoughts and opinions on like YouTube and on blogs and stuff, I started to find that a lot more people shared the same opinions as me, and they were a lot more kind of open-minded, where they were just kind of like, oh yeah, it was good, it was just a bit of escapism and it was really good. Or the opposite way around, where they were just like, what was that was really bad. One thing I find is that critics will kind of like really harshly rate something based on the tiniest of details, and that really gets on my nerves. Like, I know I like to overanalyze things. I mean, I have a review of The Greatest Showman that was 3,000 words, and I like to overanalyze things. It's just how my brain works. However, if I just think a film is generally bad, then I will rate it that way, but I still won't be massively harsh. Like, with The Greatest Showman, I think I still gave it like 3 stars, even though the more I think about it, the more I just hate that film. I understand that it's enjoyable and it was fun to watch, like it was a bit of escapism, so I still gave it 3. But critics, I feel like, go crazy one way or the other. They'll either like adore something and give it 1,000,000 stars and say that they'll kind of overlook all the issues with something, and they'll just be like, it was really good, like 1,000,000 stars. Or with something that was like, that I just thought was really good, they will nitpick the tiniest little things that no one else sees and give it like 1 star. I just feel like their opinion can go extreme either way, which kind of, to me, makes them a little bit less credible when their opinions go massively skewed one way or the other. And they always have biases as well, towards certain things, like certain actors or directors or studios or whatever. They're gonna have biases towards different things, and this is where I think kind of like the more regular consumer are more likely, in my eyes, to be less biased in one way or the other. Bloggers aren't being paid usually to give their reviews of things, and obviously unless it's a deal, like a sponsorship deal or something, a lot of bloggers will just give their opinions for free, especially like book bloggers. So another huge advantage to bloggers and kind of like online influencers is the ability to strike up a conversation and have a discussion about something. So if someone says they loved something and you didn't like it, or you disliked they disliked something that you loved, you can easily strike up a conversation with them. You can discuss your opinions and you can kind of figure it out amongst yourselves and come to an agreement on things or whatever. Critics, I kind of see as like an anonymous face. If you read something that's done by like a professional critic, the likelihood of them replying to any comments or having a discussion to back up their points is minuscule. Like, if, say, there's an online article in like a newspaper website or something, and it's a review of something, they will never respond to the comments. It'll just kind of be published and then they're done. They won't have a discussion about it, generally. And I think with things like opinions and reviews, discussions are so important. Like, that's what makes online content so special, I think, is that you can just kind of like strike up a conversation with someone. And if it's someone like a blogger, they are more likely, or they're like happier to sit and have a proper chat in the comments and discuss thoughts. And to me, that is like a massive thing in favour of bloggers and online influencers. There's just a lot more, I don't know, a lot more communication. And communication is great. People kind of look down on bloggers a lot. I mentioned, I think it was in my video about stunt casting in theatre, I kind of had a little discussion about how digital platforms are looked down on compared to, you know, traditional print media or TV or whatever. Digital platforms, so like I'm talking bloggers, YouTubers, people on Instagram, and anyone who uses social media to get their opinions across, they're gonna be looked down on a lot more than people who are like paid to publish in a newspaper or a magazine or something. And that is a really big issue, I think. Digital platforms are no less important than kind of like the more analogue kind of traditional platforms, and it's so hard, I feel like, as for people who do share their opinions and things on a digital platform, people aren't going to take them as seriously, and that's such a big issue. And I don't know why it happens, but it still does. Like, even in 2019, that's still an issue. So a lot of people wonder if the opinions of like bloggers and online, I'm going to say it one more time, influencers, if they really matter. And I say they definitely do. Like, if you want to share an opinion about something but you feel like you're going to be overshadowed, ignore everyone, share your opinion, because one person might see your article or your video or your social media post and they will love the fact that someone has shared the opinion that you have, and they will kind of like, they'll want to start up a discussion about it, and that's so great. And I feel like the more we can kind of move away from only trusting professional critics in things like this, the better. Like, when I go on things like Rotten Tomatoes, I will look more at the viewers' ratings rather than the critic ratings, because I always roll my eyes at so many of the critics' comments, whereas the viewers' ratings are, and like comments, are just so real. They're proper like human responses to things. And yeah, I don't know, I don't even know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just more inclined, I think what I'm basically saying is that I feel more inclined to believe or kind of like stand by bloggers' opinions more. I just find them a lot more credible than paid critics who are often way too harsh or way too overly positive, depending on the biases they have. And I will always prefer to listen to real people that you can kind of have a discussion with rather than an anonymous face in a newspaper. So what do you think? How much do you think proper like paid reviews compare to like bloggers or online people? This was probably a bit of a ramble. If you're still watching, then hi, thanks. I just had thoughts that I wanted to get out, and it's just this whole debate on like the traditional versus digital platforms. There's a really good video actually that I will link to that's all about this kind of comparison between digital and traditional like media. I will put it in the description below. You should definitely go and watch that if you're interested. I am going to definitely be posting a lot more kind of discussion-y videos like this. So subscribe if you want more videos like this, like discussion-y videos, and let me know what you want me to discuss. And I will see you soon with another video.